And with No Mercy in the rearview mirror, NXT keeps on rocking and rolling. What's going on, everybody? It's Flobo Boyce. You're locked into Draped in Gold, your one-stop shop for NXT content all around the world. But as always, I'm not alone. I'm being joined with a guy who stole my wardrobe today, the real Jack Farmer.
Yeah, for those of you who are on the audio-only version of this, too bad you don't get to see how Flobo and I are dressed, looking good in the all black, looking like Steve Jobs about ready to announce a new Apple product back in the day.
Do you have the jeans and turtleneck also for winter months? Is that what's going on?
I love a good turtleneck. Actually, I'm joking. I hate turtlenecks. They're the absolute worst.
You're a cardigan guy, you said.
Yeah, I do love my cardigans. Listen,
wait, the fact you swooned over cardigan. I do love my cardigans.
Everyone who's laughing at me right now, do
That's
yourself
me.
a favor. Go get yourself a nice comfy cardigan. Wait until the frigid winter months and then just put it on. Put it on and sit next to a nice fire. Oh, it's heaven, Flobo.
I think it actually made me hotter by saying that. Heat advisory here in Los Angeles. So it's only a matter of time before we get to cardigan weather, but it's not going to be this week. That's for damn
It is
sure.
so hot, and I am in a very hot room, and I had to close the window because there's noise outside. It is brutal. The things we do for the people, Flobo.
Yeah, and if you're the people listening right now or streaming right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Twitch, and possibly X? ? Jack, help me out here. Are we on?
You know, I wanted to, but unfortunately, because of the whole issues I've had, I think I need to update my password and stuff, and I didn't do that, and now we're live, and it's too late.
It's totally fine. Give it up to anyone. If you have questions or comments about this week's episode or even No Mercy, let me know. We talked about No Mercy. I did on the Wrestling Geek After Show. We talked about No Mercy in our group chat. Just overall thoughts about the show, my friend.
Just another incredible show from NXT. They are on quite a run. I love that.
Are they on fire?
They are on fire right now. I love that they don't do a whole lot of weekend shows, but when they do, they're always worth your time. I was so happy to see Ethan Page overcome the odds, overcome all the different people who were conspiring against him to overthrow NXT. I was glad that he was able to turn back the TNA intruders. And so I think that was a good feel-good show with Ethan Page standing tall at the end.
Well, other thing that was kind of breaking news from that event is that Halloween Havoc is going to be a PLE, which is the next one. So it's no longer going to be on television. Thoughts about that? Fan, not a fan, want it on TV, spin the wheel, make the deal, have a host, all that stuff.
I've been a fan of Halloween Havoc my whole life, as I'm famously known as a late period WCW fan. I love that this is famously known. I get interrupted at the grocery store. Jack, tell me all about your favorite 2000 World Championship title reign from WCW. And I'm like, there's so many to choose from.
You sure is it, sir, you haven't paid yet? Is that? I think they will stop you for that.
As I'm walking out the door with all my groceries.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, whoops. I forgot. But no, I love Halloween Havoc. I loved the old school days of the giant inflatable demon. I hope they still have that thing somewhere. I still cross my fingers hoping someday they'll bring back the old inflatable demon. I love how they used to have the tombstones with the names of people on it that were sort of inside comments to the pro wrestling world. That was always fun. I like that this is getting a bigger stage. I like that this is being treated as a bigger deal. And I like that it shows the growth for NXT as well. I think this is a great thing.
I'm never getting my Super Brawl or Slamboree, but that's okay. I'll deal.
Super Brawl may happen. Slamboree, I wouldn't hold my breath for.
What is the difference there, you late period WCW historian? What's the difference?
Super Brawl was one of the big WCW shows.
Whoa. Slamboree is big to me, dang it.
Slamboree was absolutely a Backlash level show.
And look at Backlash the last 2 years. Some of the best crowds ever. Mm-hmm.
They have been great crowds filled with people just like yourself. But unfortunately, they're not one of the tentpole events.
What do you mean people like it? If there's no Starrcade, we're not getting Slamboree. That's the idea.
It is kind of a surprise we don't have a Starrcade. That one is shocking that they haven't brought Starrcade back.
They did those weird 1 hour stuff, like the Smackville. They did that for Starrcade 1 year where AJ was in a match, and that was pretty much it. Where they had the house show and only recorded 1 hour, and then the rest was kind of like unseen, you know?
Yeah, that's very weird. But Starrcade, is something that I've always really wanted to see more of. Again, a WCW fan, but the name Starcade just sounds like a big deal. So I would love to see that.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Wexler. You know what? If I'm the goat, how can you ever ask for my picture, Mike? All right,
Mike
let's
Wexler, for the audio listener, saying the legendary Jack Farmer and the GOAT Flobo. Mike, I noticed that you did not capitalize my name. I take that as a huge personal offense.
we got to start with. I could tell you're just so mad. I take that as a huge personal offense. All right, let's get into this NXT fisticuffs. And I'm going to go a little bit around because it was a main event that really wasn't a main event, but it did feature one of the former number one contenders. This one here for the NXT Women's Championship. Jada Parker, for some people, had the match of her career this weekend on No Mercy, which she came up short. Jasmine Nix was not really feeling it, and a match was to be had. Jada Parker gets her win back, I guess, but Fatal Influence, which I still want to call Fatal Attraction, beats her down after the fact. 2 questions. Jada Parker's probably having a bad week, yes? And 2, where is OTM doing all this?
Jada Parker is absolutely having a rough week. And this is where you see sometimes someone who's on the newer end of things, they do well at first and then they start to struggle because I think people start to figure her out a little bit. And I think that's what's happening here. Jasmine Nix, I want to give her flowers. I mean,
what? Why?
You could see just how much Jasmine Nix has learned, just how much she has grown by associating herself with the veterans of Fatal Influence. She wouldn't have stood a chance months ago, but here she is now going toe-to-toe with the former number one contender. Jada Parker got the win. Jada Parker, she's a star. She's as good as they get. Losing to Jada Parker is nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to feel bad about. Jada Parker gets the win, of course. I thought Jasmine Nix did incredible, though.
I got you an honest question here. Fatal Influence have said that the mission statement is to eradicate the NXT locker room from rookies. I understand what they're here to do, but do you believe them as a unit? Do you think after work they hang out? Do you think they go to separate ways at all?
I absolutely believe them. I think that they have every bit of the ability to do what they plan to do. I think that they're a group that, look, people have had a hard time figuring out Jada Parker, for instance. Fatal Influence, though, they figured it out first go. If you want to beat Jada Parker, it's going to take 3 of you. And that's what they did. They brought all 3, and they beat Jada Parker that way. So Fatal Influence knows how to work the numbers game. They knows how to work the situation. Fatal Influence is going to make the NXT locker room a whole lot better, Flobo.
That's my other question. Jada Parker's also in a group of 3, but we hadn't seen them. Now, I understand there may be a reason about a legitimate injury, but we don't know what's going on with Lucian Price and Bronco Nima. Where is OTM doing all this?
We saw them have a run last week. So maybe Jada Parker said, guys, I'm going too fast right now. You need to hang back. Let me do my thing. And then when there's an opening for you, come on in. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to say, guys, I love you, but you need to sit on the bench for a little bit while I go handle business. Sometimes when you're the race car, you got to go as fast as you can and then let the 2 pickup trucks catch up later.
Very, very Cars and Cars 3, but not Cars 2. I hate that movie. So Jada Parker's
no
a
one
fan.
likes Cars 2.
I know, right? Mater goes a long way. You don't read the whole thing about Mater. That was a mistake, Pixar. Not as bad as A Good Dinosaur, but pretty bad. Hot take. Okay, so Jada Parker is a fan favorite. Do you think OTM can be fan favorites as well?
I don't think you can compare the 2, even though they are currently related, that they are associated with each other. Because Jada Parker, she's just different. She's different. You know, she's someone who talk about how she's a WrestleMania main eventer coming down the pike here.
Whoa!
She will be. She's not today. She's in NXT right now, but she will be. She is someone who can cut a promo. She can wrestle. She can beat the brakes off of someone. She could slap the taste out of somebody's mouth. Jada Parker can do it all. Jada Parker has no limits right now. So you can't compare her, even if she's next to somebody else, even if she's associated with someone else. It's 2 different things. I respectfully say it's a bit like Shawn Michaels and his former tag team partners. He's team with people doesn't mean that they're on the same level, though.
Yeah, see? confirm that Edge is inferior to Shawn Michaels. But let's talk about the match over the weekend. Jada Parker did come up short against Roxanne Perez, and Roxanne took her victory lap this week. She's like, look, man, I am untouchable. You can't come to me. I'm the constant when it comes to fantasy booking. And I will say this, I have been a critic of Roxanne Perez's motivations on the microphone, but I totally bought in this week. Chelsea Green took offense, but Julia took even more offense. And the way NXT ended this week was a stare down with Julia saying, me, you, CW.
There has been a lot of hyperbole about who the best women's division is in all of pro wrestling.
Hyperbole.
But when you have a division that attracts international stars the way the NXT women's division does, you can't deny it's the very best. When you have people from around the globe coming to NXT to be a part of what it's doing,
like Street Fighter,
you can't say that this isn't the best division, women's division in pro wrestling. I don't see any other division that has stars from beyond its own roster, stars who are known all around the planet showing up. And that is what happened this week when we saw the arrival of Chelsea Green.
She was there for like a year and a half. You can't just what do you?
Is Chelsea Green not an international star?
She is.
Is Chelsea Green not from outside the NXT roster right now? I don't know why you're laughing, Flobo.
She appeared.
She's a former tag team champion.
She appeared on NXT before, for one. Two, she's already within the WWE ecosystem where it's understood you can go from main roster NXT. And three, she got punched in the face this week. The face! Bam, bam, bam! The face!
I mean, just because people were disrespectful, just because some people who don't know how this business works didn't.
Some people! Hello, Julia pushed her in the face. Some people. Julia!
First off, I don't know how I feel about you disrespecting Chelsea Green and acting like she's not an international, globally recognized star.
I did not say that.
Who is a former champion in her own right.
I did not say that.
Going out of her lane to be a part of something special. Let's fine. You clearly want to just brush over the fact that you had an international superstar in Chelsea Green there.
I did not.
Let's talk about the stare down. Let's talk about these two. Julia is there. We get the two staring down, and yeah. I'll admit it. You could see the star power. You could see what the buzz was really all about here. I got to admit. What?
I'm just waiting for that super kick. Pow.
You could see the star power.
Okay.
You could see what the buzz was all about. You could see why this talent is someone that everybody has wanted for so long. Roxanne Perez, truly no longer the future. She is absolutely the present.
Again, you're not saying anything that's wrong. I am not here to knock
Roxanne Perez. Then why are you freaking out about it?
Because if everyone that was in that stare down, that was in that scene, a literal smoke show shows up in Julia, and you ignored her twice. Julia's in NXT. Julia!
You're right. You're right. Julia's here, and I'm really happy, and I'm really thrilled, and I'm excited to see Roxanne Perez stop yet another outsider from coming into NXT and trying to take an NXT championship from someone who has been a part of this brand for so long.
Okay, well, put that on the back burner for a second. This is true. CW will have the NXT Women's Championship defended. That's 4 weeks away. Is Roxanne's title reign numbered, my friend?
There's no way Roxanne Perez is going to let some outsider walk into her locker room, walk into NXT, especially at a time when invaders seem to be coming from all directions, and allow someone from outside of NXT to take her championship, to take the NXT championship. Roxanne Perez is nearly unbeatable as it is, but now that she has all of NXT behind her, trying to be there, a part of her defending this championship from Julia, no way she's going to lose. Home field advantage, Roxanne Perez, landslide.
Wow. I mean, I love the hot take. Before we get to the next matchup this week, we did get a note, speaking about championships, that Jordan Grace, the current TNA Knockouts champion, I also want to say Knockout Women's, but that's kind of redundant. But Knockouts champion is going to defend that title on NXT next week. Now, of course, I'm going to ask you who do you think is going to be, but more importantly, the idea of a TNA championship being defended on NXT must be pretty wild, as the kids say.
Yeah, I think it as I said earlier, the fact that so many people want to be a part of what's going on in NXT is a huge sign of just how great NXT is. Jordynne Grace, I am a huge fan of. She is someone that I'm excited that she's going to be a part of NXT, and she's defending the TNA championship.
Sure.
I love that. You know who I'd like to see get a shot at it? You know who I'd like to see have an opportunity at that championship? Rosemary. I think Rosemary would be someone who I think deserves a shot at the TNA championship.
Wait. Okay. First of all, Rosemary is also a TNA talent, right? So that'd be kind of interesting to have her on NXT defending this open challenge. And two, she's over her last two. We'll get to that later. She's over her last two. Why would she be number one contender?
Because she faced NXT contenders. So those two losses don't actually count against her in the world of TNA. Now that when you put it that way, and frankly, again, I don't like the idea of these TNAers thinking that they're a part of NXT. I want to keep them separate. I don't want my NXT mixing with my TNA. I want it nice and separate. I want to divide between the two.
Well, you gotta look at the Vegas odds here about the potential opponents for Jordynne Grace's TNA Championship. Cora Jade is listed at even money if you're a Vegas person. Natalia's 3-1, Charlotte Flair 12-1, Becky Lynch 25-1, and Stevie Turner 100-1. Any of those stick out to you besides Rosemary to take on Jordynne Grace for a TNA Knockout Championship?
Yeah, they all stand out to me. They'd all be huge announcements and huge opportunities for everybody involved. I'd love to see all of them. I don't think it's going to be any of them, though.
It's you're doubling down on Rosemary.
Doubling down on Rosemary. I think that's the one that everyone wants to see.
You know what? Let's go out of order. Let's talk about that match right there. Rosemary, the heavy/heater, as Jimmy Corderas would say, for Wendy Chu taking on Tatum Paxley. This one here is kind of the most peculiar stories happening in NXT right now, because a month ago it seemed like Tatum Paxley and Wendy Chu were going to be besties, but they have a difference of philosophy. Apparently, having action figures in hand, or as Jack Farmer says, collectibles, we got ourselves a match with Tatum Paxley getting the win, but Rosemary couldn't take a win in stride, and her and Wendy Chu started beating her down, but Lyra Valkyria shows up. A lot of things to untangle here, my friend. First things first, are they still collectibles?
They are collectibles, and I think you owe Tatum Paxley an apology.
That doesn't like me at all. I never apologize.
You should apologize, because
I will not.
You were making fun of her, joining with all the bullies, pointing your finger and laughing at her for having a hobby outside of pro wrestling, collectibles. Yet here she is now, as Rosemary continues this TNA invasion into NXT, trying to take more territory from NXT. Who is there to stop her? Who's there to stand up when no one else will? It's Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley defending our honor against TNA. Tatum Paxley there, and she gets the win in a heroic, triumphant moment, much like another action figure would. Captain America saying, I could do this all day, staring down the TNA barrel, fighting off Rosemary.
If Rosemary's 0 for 2, can you really call her an invader? She's been dispatched twice.
She was not 0 for 2 when the match started.
She hadn't won a match going in, and she still hadn't won a match coming out. She's
because NXT is nothing to mess with, Flobo. You want to come have a fight on NXT soil, where a fight's what you're gonna get. And Tatum Paxley was there to deliver a beatdown.
Well, you know what? I totally saw the fact that you were going to claim credit for something coming, but I thought you would claim credit about Lyra Valkyria coming out and saying, look, I kind of care for you, Tatum, ? Because I thought they would never be friends. But Jack Farmer, to his credit, was like, oh, man, you could totally tell they're besties for life.
They are besties for life. And I don't want to try to sully a moment that was as pure and honest and lovable as Lyra Valkyria returning to save her friend. This was a feel-good moment. How did you not cheer? Did you not just feel uplifted and warm when this happened?
No.
This was a you know what? If this was a movie, if this was cinema, Flobo, you know what the critics would say? What it would say across the headline?
Visually stunning. As you know, it was really bad when they say visually stunning.
It would say triumphant. That's what they would
That's
say.
That's even worse. The movie has a resolution. Triumphant. That's terrible.
It would just say triumphant in quotes. Right above the name or right at the bottom, you know, where they're standing there. Triumphant moment, Flobo. I love this. Did you not love this? I popped. I was like, oh, this is
first
great.
of all, Lyra got beat down on Monday, but I guess that doesn't really count. And two, she also dissed the collectibles as well. We're defend that.
What is that? Why are you bringing up the stuff that isn't relevant? Like what happened on Monday?
Because it makes sense.
How can you say it matters, but Chelsea Green isn't an international superstar?
I never said she wasn't, though. I never said Chelsea Green was not an international superstar. It's kind of funny that the person who got knocked in the face is the one you're giving flowers to.
Why? Again, you're going to all these negative things here
Truthful
that shouldn't
things.
happen in the first place. But this I know you don't like happy endings, Flobo, but
I hate
in
them.
this case, this was an absolute beautiful moment between
George Hermosa,
Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley.
Hey, George Hermosa, look, first, appreciate you for supporting the show, but I do not hate Chelsea Green. I said there was a big return debut, and Jack goes, Chelsea, right? And it's not. I quit.
George Hermosa saying, I will not accept any Chelsea Green hate. George Hermosa, I am with you 100%.
There is no hate of Chelsea Green here.
I don't know how you can listen to this guy. I'm saying she's a star. I'm saying good things about her. I thought this was a great moment. Flobo, on the other hand, is shocked that she even got a chance to come out on TV.
I am not shocked. I was surprised, but not shocked.
Flobo sounded like a member of the New Day going, who?
Sorry, that's that boss me. I will say who to everything. I'll be at someone's funeral and be like, who died? Who?
Your tombstone says who?
Different like fonts and sizes in the corners as well. Well, before we move on for this thing, because I'm not a hater, Wendy Chu has a very peculiar path. So it looked like she was going to be part of a team, but just on her own, that she's with a team with Rosemary, and they're not really communicating what Wendy Chu wants or what she's about. What do you make of this? What would Wendy Chu be? What would be your next chapter if you were the GM here? And that's not our GM pick. I'm just asking you.
Well, if I was the GM, I wouldn't be under control of TNA. I wouldn't be in TNA's pocket right now. And frankly, I'd send Wendy Chu back into TNA. You want to hobnob with the TNAers? Go over there. Go spend some time with TNA. We don't need you in NXT.
I thought you're a hobnob connoisseur.
I love hobnobbing if it's with NXT, not with outsiders.
Jack Farber. I hobnob, never flim flam. We got to move on because I want to talk to you about.
I flam sometimes.
Just some flamming. I love it. some flamming.
I dabble in flam.
I do dabble. Our opening contest this weekend was a tag team #1 contenders match. The Rascals, that's Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz or Nash Carter, against Gallus, and this is one of the two appearances from Gallus this week against Hank and Tank Ledger, with the Rascals getting the win. But what happened before that win was all hell breaking loose. Javon Evans gets involved, the OC gets involved, referee lost all control. Rascals get the win. I don't know your thoughts about that. 2, the Gallus can't catch a break. And 3, what are your thoughts about Hank and Tank Ledger as a team?
Hank and Tank Ledger, I believe Booker T said this. I got to echo, most improved tag team in NXT. They are fantastic. They're doing great. Who's more improved?
That's the question. It's like what? It's a very easy bench to clear. Because
why are you again? You're poo-pooing all over.
I'm not
doing good things.
You can't be like, water is pretty wet. I'm like, yes, it is. Well,
if I said
what's wetter?
Well, technically, wet is when water is on something. So water itself can't be wet.
Okay, you know what? The show's over. See you next week.
But I think Hank and Tank are doing great. I love what we're seeing here. I think this whole thing broke down to miscommunication. And the miscommunication being Joe Coffey comes out because clearly he misunderstood that this was a tag team match with 6 people. He thought he was supposed to be there. You can't fault the guy there to support his team.
Yes, you can.
But who I can fault is Javon Evans, for no reason whatsoever, being out there. I don't understand. There's supposed to be a little bit of decorum, professionalism here in NXT, but Javon Evans getting involved for some reason. I don't know why. Again, Joe Coffey, clearly a misunderstanding.
Absolutely.
6 people tag team match. He didn't know.
He was backstage. Where's my friends? And went to go see them.
I mean, have you ever read the, oh my gosh, I got to get out there. He ran out there to help out. It was just, one of those things, Gallus. Yeah, it happens. No big deal. But Javon Evans.
How dare Javon do it?
What was he? And this is why it's disgusting. This is why it's disgusting. And look, OC too. I'm not happy with them either. But this is why it's disgusting. Is the Rascals win. And now the Rascals, one step closer to NXT Gold. And this is the one thing we were trying to avoid. We were on the brink at No Mercy, just barely survived. And now, yet again, we are once more under the brink of an TNA team having NXT Gold. And it just sickens me.
Yeah, you know what? I'll refrain from the Joe Coffey questions because obviously it was a mistake. A misunderstanding. Is helping out his friends because he wanted to make sure that his friends are okay. So who am I to get involved? But you're absolutely right. The Rascals are number one contenders. And so Nathan Frazier and Axiom, I refuse to call them Fraxium, but they are we looking at the new tag team champions in the Rascals?
Well, Fraxium is now our final line of
stupidest name ever. What is a Fraxium? What is it?
This is Fraxium.
Did we go Gianca Beljade? No, it's dumb. Stop combining stuff.
This follows the age-old tradition, and this goes back years, Flobo. And it's something that actually is a part of our history, and it's a part of the culture of combining names, like when Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez first got together.
And it made me sick then too. What is a Benefer?
You combined the names, and it's just, this is very much in the same vein as a Benefer. And it's something that is, again, part of our culture. It's part of our society. It's just like polar bear commercials during Christmas time. It's something that we all love and we don't want to see go away. Fraxium,
I hate that too. Polar bears live in the South Pole. Santa's in the North Pole. This is totally messed up.
It's because it's bringing the world together through Coca-Cola, Flobo. How did you not see the...
Oh, wow. You're right. I rescind my question.
Wait a minute. Is Coca-Cola a sponsor?
No.
Then it's high fructose corn syrup drink. That
is Pepsi okay? Yeah.
Fraxium's our last line of defense, Flobo. They're the only ones who can stand up. And thank God we have Fraxium to stand up to the Rascals. Thank God we have a team that is able to work together, not some team that's going to have one of them be a singles champion while trying to be a tag team champion at the same time.
Yeah.
Fraxium, totally united, totally same page, not going to lose this championship. I feel great knowing that Fraxium is defending the honor and the lineage of the NXT tag team champions.
Question for you though. If the Rascals win the tag team championships, yeah, I'm sorry, please hold together, man. And we do have a lot more TNA talent holding NXT Gold. What would be the resolution there? Would it be a PLE like a Worlds Collide or Cyber Sunday? Will it be kind of like a win does not count over a certain amount of time? This could be the forbidden door being kicked wide open.
I don't want to think about a world where TNA talent holds NXT Gold. I don't want to think about a world where we have to figure out a way to get the NXT Gold back. This is one of the greatest threats to NXT in the history of this brand.
Is it?
And there have been eras that were undisputed.
Yeah, I'm going to say that was a threat because they were there every week.
And threatened NXT, but this is the greatest threat to NXT, TNA. And we cannot even think about a possibility of a world where TNA talent holds NXT Gold. That would be destructive to everything NXT is. We can't even let the idea, not even a sliver of it, Flobo.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I just heard the vote for you music. These wrestlers coming over, taking these jobs and titles. Yeah, I get it, man. Totally.
If we could just get TNA to build a wall across the forbidden door.
A wall across the door. door. That door sure looks nice over there.
We need a forbidden fence around this forbidden door.
Even more forbidden fence.
That I think since TNA is the one coming over, they need to build it.
Yep. An unauthorized fence by the forbidden door. But let's move on real quickly before we get canceled. About the other side of the Gallus equation, Joe Coffey was also in singles action due to the fallout of the tag team match against Javon Evans. And Cedric Alexander comes out to even the odds with Javon Evans getting the win over the former Iron King. Is he still that? I don't even know anymore.
I don't understand what it is with Javon Evans not being able to do anything without people getting involved in his matches. What happened to the days when we had singles matches, one-on-one matches? You know,
The good old days.
The good old days. You know, I feel like back in the old days there was never interference. Cedric Alexander getting involved, costing Joe Coffey a win, but also Javon Evans now stealing a win. Just gross.
Stealing?
He stole it. He had his friend come out and cost Joe Coffey.
Even the odds.
Even the odds. It was a one-on-one match. Do you know? Have you ever taken algebra? Both sides are supposed to be equal. 1 equals 1. But that was 2 to 1.
But outside, there were other people hanging out. It wasn't like just in the ring it was a fire pit. You know?
Well, yeah, there's an audience, Flobo. That's how they do this. It's not 2020 anymore.
What? Are you on Gallus' payroll? Is that what it is? Can you do it wrong?
Nearly enough.
Oh, fair enough.
No,
because a guy who sells all these groups.
Hey.
Yeah. Bring that back just once. Give me a WrestleMania with that back. I would pay dearly.
I would love to hear that song back. Forget Drew McIntyre's old theme and all those other ones.
You hate that theme though.
Gallus,
that theme is great. You hate
Gallus is the one. Yeah, I do. I like his new one.
Wow. With the sword?
Why not? Stab people.
Her name is Angela. So let's talk about the biggest through line of this week's NXT. It's that whole Pete Dunne, Trick Williams debacle, because it looked like Pete Dunne had his hands full on Monday and he was satisfied, but that wasn't the case. After listening to a dope diss track, Pete Dunne goes down to Orlando, and the match that him and Trick Willie had that was supposed to be the main event got moved up, and it was a no contest? Yes, double count out through the table. So walk me through this. Pete Dunne is on a warpath. Trick Willie wants his pound of flesh, but no one has any resolutions this week.
I like both these guys in this case. I think they were both fantastic. These are two guys they want to fight, and so they're going to fight. A lot of times you see these wrestlers and they'll say, I want to get my hands on this guy, but I'm going to wait until this day. No, these guys like, no,
but not tonight. Yeah.
As the kids say, on site, Pete Dunne coming down to Orlando saying, I'm going to fight. I'll come to your doorstep. And Trick Williams saying, let's go, pal. I love this. I love that even when they were about to get counted out, they both said, forget it, man. I want to have this fight. These two guys killed it. I loved it. And I never give Ava credit, but this time I got to give it to her. A last man standing match. I'm here for it. This is how it's supposed to be done, Flobo.
You kind of skipped ahead, but in that case, this brings us to this week's General Manager Pick'em. Welcome to General Manager Pick'em. That's where I ask my broadcast colleague Jack Farmer questions as if he were the general manager of NXT for some reason. The match between Trick Willie and Pete Dunne ended in no contest, with both men going to the table, and Ava had to have a solution. So she said, we're going to run it back. This time, it's a last man standing match. Jack Farmer, just imagine if the stipulation last man standing didn't exist. What would you put Trick Willie and Pete Dunne through to make sure we have a winner the next time they're in the ring?
I think that if we didn't have last man standing matches, I guess it'd have to be the first thing that comes to mind is a submission match, but that's kind of the same thing. But a little less violent. Part of me wants to say a strap match because we just saw the strap match, but that doesn't also feel cage match feels like the right away, go to. The last man standing match really does feel like the best possible outcome. But you know what? I guess I would just say a Iron Man.
Iron Man. What I think I realized with like these stipulations that all of them are kind of the same. Like, what is a street fight to a no disqualification to a no holds barred match? They're all pretty much the same. But interesting. I thought they would have some sort of barrier, like a cage or a fight pit or something along those lines. But hey, Iron Man works.
Can I change my answer?
No. What's up? You're the GM. Go ahead.
Okay, change my mind. There's only one way to settle this if we can't do a last man standing match. If we can't do last man standing, these guys hate each other. They're really to fly across the country to fight each other.
Say it.
The Boneyard match.
Oh, no, that's not what I want. I would pay.
Boneyard match.
I would have paid. I would have bet and lost that you would have said a parking lot brawl, but you said a Boneyard match. Why?
The Boneyard.
It's not Undertaker's yard or AJ Styles' yard. It makes no sense.
You're right. It's not Undertaker's yard or AJ Styles' yard. It's the Boneyard. And that's where I think they need to settle their differences.
I don't think audiences can even stomach a cinematic match in 2024.
In the chat, in the comments, let us know. Do you want to see Trick Willie versus Butch in a Boneyard match?
Please say no. Please say no. So dumb. Can we talk about something that's kind of not dumb? And that is Oba Femi, the guy who I don't know if he's a good guy or a ne'er-do-well after last night's actions, was in a match against Channing Stacks Lorenzo because Oba disrespected Adriana Rizzo and Tony Angelo did what any boss does and delegates. So the match happens and Channing Stacks Lorenzo fended himself off pretty well, I think, but still came up short. Can anyone stop Oba Femi? We don't know, but Channing Stacks Lorenzo kind of fighting for the honor of somebody else. Is Tony D and the family becoming fan favorites? You let me know.
Can anybody stop Oba Femi? We don't know. We do know, Flobo, and the answer is no. No one can stop Oba Femi. I know no one wants to tuck their tail and run, but Tony D'Angelo family, you need to tuck your tail and run. You need to admit defeat. You need to move on. You need to get out of there. I think Tony D'Angelo was very smart in sending Stacks to execution, but Tony D'Angelo should have packed his bags and moved somewhere else, started a new life. I know in Tony's line of work, now he won't say this publicly, but I know he knows all about starting a new life under a new alias somewhere else. Tony D'Angelo needs to do that himself. Get far away from Oba Femi. Oba Femi is the ruler. You know, with all due respect, Sid Vicious, the master and ruler of the world. Oba Femi is the master and ruler of NXT. No one's beating him. No one's getting close. And even in this matchup, Oba Femi, this is the scary thing about Oba Femi, Flobo.
Woo.
He is getting better.
Woo.
He's getting looser. Have you noticed? Like, he just seems looser in that ring. He's more comfortable. The fact that he's doing things like the body slam with the legs onto the ropes to work Channing's injured leg, he's getting smarter. He's getting better. This guy is like Doomsday from Superman, except Superman's never getting the win. It's just Doomsday getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
To be fair, Doomsday did kind of win. George Hermosa says there should be a wrestler called No One, and that is the most pro wrestling thing I've ever heard in my life. But the thing is,
like
there was some vacant, another championship for vacant. There has been some controversy. I mean, we won't get too deep into it about what Oba said before the match, what caused the match. And the question I have for you is, rulers don't have to be friends with anyone, but is Oba Femi a ne'er-do-well, or is he a fan favorite, or there's no rule for that at all?
I don't think there's no rule for that at all. I think Oba Femi is just himself. He's not trying to get your cheers. He's not trying to get your boos. He's just Oba Femi. You are beneath him. He doesn't care if you're cheering for him. He doesn't care if you're booing him. But there's something about someone like that that makes you want to cheer for him.
Woo. All right. So moving on. Let's talk about bullies, man. And your favorite bully, Lexis King, was in bullying metaphor, saying they haven't been the same. As you said, the kids say they're lacking aura. And well, Oro Mensa gets a little offended, and they had a little bit of matchup here. Lexis King gets the win by the coronation. Oro Mensa is down bad. Metaphor is down bad. Noam Dar is nowhere to be seen. What is going on with that group? And what's next for the King?
Well, Lexis King got in his head. I thought that was a good move by Lexis King. Lexis King's a superstar. he knows what he's doing, and he was able to work Oro Mensah. Oro Mensah had a tough week. Obviously with Noam Dar still being gone, they are missing something without Noam Dar. The team is missing somebody. Any team with a superstar on their roster, if they lose that star, it hurts them. This hurts them. They need Noam Dar back. They want Noam Dar back. Oro Mensah had a tough week. I'm a big fan of Oro Mensah. He'll bounce back from this one, and I think he'll have a great run afterwards. But for now, today's Lexus Kings.
Yeah, talk about Oro Mensah's daddy. Is that going to be something that's going to be exemplified, you think?
I hope not. Oro Mensah is, I don't like to see bad things happen to Oro Mensah. I've been a fan of his for a very long time. Fan of his former tag team partner, Ashton Smith, by the way. Big fan of both of them and what they've been able to do. So shout out to them. But Oro Mensah, regardless of what happens, I think that maybe he got turned around a little bit by Lexus King, but Oro Mensah is going to get his head screwed on straight, and he's going to do just fine.
Got to give a shout out to Ashton Smith, who announced his retirement this week. And here on Draped in Gold, I was the biggest Ashton Smith advocate, and being able to watch him in the ring has been a pleasure. Best of luck to you. # whiskey emoji. Here's the thing, though.
Ready and forward,
man. Here's the thing about Oro Mensah, or the former Oliver Carter. He was Noam Dar's main man. But if Noam Dar was not there, we have to learn something else about Oro. But you're not saying you want to hear about his family. So what would you do then? Now you have somebody that is a competitor who is very skilled, but the NXT crowd doesn't really know much about him.
What I'm saying is I want to focus more on what he's done well and all the good things he's done, all the things he's accomplished, the championship runs he's had, the people he's beaten, the things he's competed in, lots of championship matches. He's held championship gold. He's also in a lot of ways part of the thing that held Metaphor together. I want to see those things. I want to see how he's kind of taken on the mantle of leadership in Noam Dar's absence here. I want to talk about those things from Oro Mensah, not the things that were tragic. I want to talk about the successes.
Oh, I like that. Hey, you're a positive guy, except when TNA is involved.
Yeah, TNA.
Come on,
coming into NXT.
Yeah, why not? NXT TNA, we love it.
You know what? I think it's time for NXT to start maybe go down to TNA and start ruffling some feathers over there.
They did. Shout out to Ariana Grace, who appeared in Emergence this week. Okay, so let's talk about some questions I came across watching this week's episode, because you're the expert here. You can help me out with this. Javon Evans is now the #1 contender for the Heritage Cup. What happened? What is Ren Sinclair doing, man?
I love the killer instinct of Ren Sinclair. I love that she's out here trying to get some fights on the table, but Javon Evans said that he's never even had a job before, and so now this unemployed loser is getting a title shot.
Oh, no.
That's just ridiculous.
Leave him alone. It's not like he's off the street going, oh, yeah, I'll be a champion.
He said himself, never had a job before.
Wow. Hot takes, man. Jack Colbert over here. So Ridge Holland comes clean about what his actions meant last weekend. He said he tried to invest in Chase U, but they wouldn't be appreciative. They could win the big one, but could never hold on. So he did what he had to do. What do you make of this?
I think he's just another name in the very long list of people who learned that when you go out of your way to help Chase U, you get nothing in return.
Here's another one for George Hermosa. Why is Charlie Dempsey upset about the match? He knows he has to defend it, right? Well, I mean, it's his title to defend or let people defend. You can't let someone else who doesn't have a title pick matches for you, right?
Yeah, against people who don't even have a job.
Sean Spears, thanks. Brooks Jensen for helping him out, saying, you saved me, bro. But Dion Lennox says, hey, man, that's gaslighting. What say you?
I'll tell you who's gaslighting, Dion Lennox. This Brooks Jensen and Sean Spears is what friendship really is. And I wish more men were open about their feelings and about what they're going through. And Sean Spears, a real hero to this generation who really needs to see that it's okay to open up. It's okay to tell people how you feel. This is what was really great. This was a special moment. And of course, Dion Lennox, toxic Dion Lennox, as I refer to him as, is the one gaslighting Brooks Jensen. Can you believe that guy actually cares about you? Actually wants what's best for you? That guy, huh? Ugh.
I don't want to tap into my inner Alfred Conaway here, but if Brooke Jensen beats up Idris and Malik and goes after Dion, is that considered a hate crime?
No.
Answer the question.
Dion Lennox is coming after Brooks Jensen. Brooks Jensen had nothing to do with Dion Lennox.
You're absolutely right. I'm just trying to be funny. Speaking of brothers, Ashanti Adonis is a Lothario, it seems, but Brinley Reese seems to be a little bit more receptive than I would have give Ashanti the Adonis credit for, but Eddie Thorpe hated the entire thing. What say you of this?
I like Eddie Thorpe. I always want to be on the side of my fellow DJs, but I don't really understand why he keeps stepping all over Ashanti's game here. Like, what was that all about? Ashanti didn't do anything wrong. Honestly, I think he was just doing just fine out there.
Did you just say Adonisly?
Yeah, that's what he said.
No, but you repeated it. Why? You know how much I love plays on words and puns. I don't.
You know, speaking of plays on words and puns, you also got to give Ashanti credit. DJ Platonic was a great line.
Actually, I thought it was actually a legit name, so I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, it's kind of an odd name for a DJ. He's everyone's best friend.
It does sound like a DJ name.
I thought he was calling who he was.
DJ Platonic. I don't get why Eddie Thorpe keeps... Ashanti's just trying to mingle, trying to get to know his fellow NXTers.
You see the commercial, right? If you know one guy or he's your friend who's walking around your job, not working, and just trying to ask out girls all the time, you got to step in and say, hey, bro, you want to like focus on in-ring stuff?
Why would you want an opponent to focus on in-ring stuff? You'd be glad that everyone is distracted. But Ashanti, he's just trying to make everyone feel special.
You know what? Why is it always roses, man? There's never a chrysanthemum.
No one likes chrysanthemums.
Okay, what about tulips? I don't dare say anything wrong about tulips because they're dope.
Tulips are friendly things.
Whoa! You know what? I can guarantee you, I'll give you a bouquet of tulips. You'll be like, whoa, bro, what are you trying to say? Guaranteed.
If I got tulips, the first thing I would do is go,
See? That's not platonic at all. Tulip. I'm saying its roses are overrated. Before you wrap this up with the MVP of NXT, anything you want to talk about this week at NXT? Because I feel like there's some things being planted for CW, but I'm not really sure what they are as far as the mood.
Yeah, I want to talk about how I think Trick Williams overstepped his boundaries.
Come on.
The show is supposed to start with the champion. The show's supposed to start with the person who just defended the championship. Ethan Page should have started this show. And I think Ethan Page is absolutely right in saying that Trick Williams shouldn't have been out there. That was Ethan Page's spot. So that's my final thoughts on what went down this week.
You know, our, I guess, Wrestling Inc. broadcast colleague, Glenn Rubenstein, has said, or has asked me kind of derisively, are you a fan of Ethan Page and his title run? I'm a huge fan of what not only Ethan Page could do, but what he represents for the standings. What say you? This is still pretty much young in Ethan Page's run, but it's a different flavor than we've seen of previous NXT champions.
I think he's been a phenomenal champion. I think he's done a great job of carrying the brand, being the face of the brand, especially in tumultuous times. Like I said, TNA coming in and making everything about them, trying to take over this brand. Ethan Page has done a phenomenal job of really carrying the locker room, carrying the fans, and carrying everything that NXT stands for.
I'm with you. If his executive spin sales are real good. Oh, they're real great. Mm-hmm.
There's no spin. I just call it how I see it.
Okay, so if you had to pick to, I guess, the virtual statue question, right? If you had to make a statue of Ethan Page, would you do top team? Would you do Team Canada? Or would you do the NXT champ?
I would do the NXT champion with the glasses, with the shoes, no socks, with the button-up shirt down to the bottom of his sternum. I think that's the one I would go with.
Sounds like you want to give him tulips afterwards. Now time for our favorite segment of the show. It's the MVP of NXT. MVP of NXT, or to ask Jack, who really stuck out for you, person, tag team, or thing? And please, I hope it's Ravon Evans.
I'm going with someone who clearly did the most for NXT this week.
I swear to God, who, Jack?
So close to saying Javon Evans now.
No, I got it. I won't spoil it, but I swear to God, if you say,
I think I know who you. No, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say Tatum Paxley this week.
Tatum Paxley. Okay, I'll take that. If it was Chelsea Green, I'm gonna flip the table.
I almost picked Chelsea Green.
Green.
Unfortunately, we had this intruder ruin everything she was doing for this
It's Julia,
prestigious brand.
She wasn't an intruder. She was showing the crowd last month.
Speaking of intruders, Tatum Paxley defended NXT from intruders, and frankly, just it was a feel-good, triumphant moment to see Lyra Valkyria come back. And when Tatum Paxley jumped in Lyra's arms, I felt like we all jumped in Lyra's arms.
Okay. Well, the true MVPs are the Rascals because they kick open.
They're not even NXT.
Yeah, but that's why they're kicking open this. They're scaling the unallowed fence and going through the forbidden door to really open up a Worlds Collide PLE, which is something I've asked for years. That's an MVP with a bullet for me.
That's like saying, I think the MVP of NXT was the fans. Come on.
That's something you do. I never do that. Screw the fans.
NXT. They can't be the MVP of NXT. They're not even on the team.
They're the MVP of NXT, the show, not the brand. The show. This week, the show NXT. The show is called the same thing.
They were disrupting the show by being it out there.
Disrupt it. We love disruptors because I want a Worlds Collide. This could be the quickest thing to getting it.
You're not an NXT fan?
I'm a huge NXT fan.
Then why are you excited about them disrupting the show?
Because we want to be able to have a new flavor of NXT.
You know what flavor I like? NXT flavor.
What is that? Like, is it pineapple?
Coppery.
Oh, yeah. I see that. Yeah. No, I'm serious. Like, I really feel like this could be really exciting to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. I want an invasion. I want something to fight for something. I don't want people to be like, it's developmental. I want people to hold their ground against territory, war games, and all that jazz.
I know you're saying that Ariana Grace was over at Emergence, and I know that Tatum Paxley has made her way over to NXT or to TNA. But I think TNA needs to stop letting this happen. I think there needs to be a counteroffensive. I want to see Obafemi go over to TNA and show them what happens. I want to see, I know Ethan Page would never step foot in TNA, but maybe Ethan Page head over there. I'd like to see Roxanne Perez start knocking some heads over there. I'd like to see Fatal Influence start showing TNA what's up and go over there and show them what happens. Then we'd like to see how fun TNA is and how much they like this forbidden door when it swings both ways.
Like a saloon.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Dartoon.
You're right.
Well, this wraps up this edition of Draped in Gold. Jack, I know you're a busy man. We can always look to add on to the calendar. If someone wants to book you, learn more about what you're onto, even ask you a random question that's anonymous, how to go about doing that?
The best way to do it is follow me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check out my work at jackcfarmer.com, and that's where you can book me for your next event, whatever it is.
Well, I'm not nearly as cool as him, but I do have this little beta project. It's called justthisandwich.com. It's sports and comedy on a blog. Check it out at justthisandwich.com. Draped in Gold will not be here next week, so we'll be back in 2 weeks as we break down the best in NXT content, because that's what we're here for. We love the Tuesday Night Delight. Until that time, my friend, please say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.